Hi everyone, it's the 11th of October and that means it's time for the 11th film on my 31 Horrors of Mike. Now we're jumping forward just a few years from the last film that we did, which was House, and this film is called Grim Prairie Tales, also known as Grim Prairie Tales Hit the Trail to Terror. It was released in 1990. It was directed by an artist called Wayne Coe, and Wayne Coe has not made any other films. He's only made this one film. It is an anthology horror film, so it's taken 11 films for me to get an anthology horror film into this list. This is a real personal favourite of mine. It's very unknown, at least in some quarters. I mean, I've said that about some films in this list. It's really unknown. A lot of you guys know about it, which is fantastic. Um, but it's an anthology horror film set in the Old West, and it's about two men traveling over sort of prairie land, the Great Plains, and meeting each other one night on their travels. They have a campfire and they begin to tell one another stories, and we see those stories played out. It sounds like a pretty uh, ordinary setup for an anthology film, and I suppose in a lot of ways it is, but there are some special things about it. Um, First of all, it's set in the Old West, which is a little bit different. All of the stories are therefore set in the Old West as well, and it's what really makes the film is you're not so much the stories that are contained within it, but really the relationship between the two men telling each other these stories. The two men are played by Brad Dourif and James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones is a bounty hunter who has killed a man. He has him on his horse, tied up, and Brad Dourif plays I think he's like an accountant or a businessman or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And he is uh, going off to meet a loved one. And like I say, James Earl Jones' character is wanting to get the bounty for this man that he's killed. So James Earl Jones' character is very sort of gruff, and you're not quite sure about him. He seems a little bit sinister, and he tells most of the stories. But Brad Dourif's character also tells one of the stories. In fact, he tells the strongest story within the film. There are four stories contained within this anthology movie. The first story is about a man who disturbs an Indian burial ground. The second story is about a man who takes care of a pregnant woman wandering round in the desert. The third story, the third story is quite special, and it's the best thing about this film, so I'm going to tell you nothing about it because I want you to watch it. And the fourth story is about a gunslinger who is haunted by a man that he has killed. So there is a supernatural element throughout a lot of the stories, but it's not really frightening. Like I say, it's not really scary. It's just that the interplay between these two characters telling the stories is just fantastic, because in between every story you start to find out more about each character, about what their lives are, where they're going, why they're out in the middle of nowhere, and it just the film sort of evolves around that idea about these two men getting to know one another. And I think what really gets me, as I said one of the stories is really special, and it completely caught me off guard. Even telling you that it caught me off guard will mean that you won't be caught quite as off guard as I was with it, but it has a real tenderness to it. Actually, tenderness, yeah, it does have tenderness to it, but it deals with real horror, and that's what's so special about it. The atmosphere of the movie, I just love, them out there, around this campfire, two men, they don't know each other, is are they both what they seem, that sort of thing. You imagine meeting a stranger out in the middle of nowhere and sitting around a campfire with them, talking to them, are you safe? Is something going to happen to you? That sort of thing. Especially from the point of view that Brad Dourif's character is very much a sort of city man, well educated, that sort of thing. And James Earl Jones' character is very much the man of the wild, but both are played absolutely brilliantly, and I really cannot recommend it highly enough. What's really inspiring about this film is that the director Wayne Coe he's an artist, and he actually was involved in some of the storyboards for films like Seven. Um, he got this film off the ground and made from scratch purely off his own back. And you guys know that's what I'm trying to do. And at the end of the day, it's really inspiring. He set up his own company. He he wrote the film. He directed it. He managed to get two pretty big stars in it, and two great actors. He managed to just put the entire thing together. And I really wish he'd made more films, and I really hope that he does at some point because this is a great film. I think it's just that perhaps it didn't do quite as well as they would have hoped. But it does have an audience. The people that have watched this film tend to love it. That's a bit of hype, but some people might not. But I really think this film's quite special. It's a gem. I always remember seeing it when I was a kid, and it was one of those films that just stuck in my mind. Um, and watching it again, maybe about a year ago, really just brought it home how great the movie is. So that's Grim Prairie Tales from 1990. Go check it out. And I will be back tomorrow for the 12th day and the 31 horrors of Mike. Bye. I don't know what that was.